the freedom to the day they die. We in the land of the snakes. We in the land of the snakes.
Guys, welcome to another video. Today we'll be searching the land of the snakes. Let's go.
Number 10. There are about 2,500 species of snake in the world, and not one of them is vegetarian. They're all killers, but only a few can hurt a human. We're counting down the 10 snakes that you'd least like to meet because they've found extremely unpleasant ways of making a killing. Our first contender lives in the wetlands of South America and is a giant that hunts using power and stealth. Growing to almost 28 feet long and weighing up to 450 pounds, the Anaconda is the largest snake on Earth. It uses water to support its massive bulk. This giant snake could easily kill a human, but there's no firm proof that it ever has, only legend and rumor. It's easy to see why people are afraid of this monster. It lies in wait at the water's edge, waiting for prey to enter its strike range. A snake can strike with up to a third of its body length, giving a full-grown anaconda a deadly reach of more than 9 feet. The anaconda doesn't kill with venom. It's a constrictor that crushes the life out of its victims instead. When you fall prey to an anaconda, you don't die from suffocation. What kills you is high blood pressure. The snake's deadly embrace is so powerful that it causes the blood vessels in your heart and brain to rupture. There's not a single living animal in South America that can survive the anaconda's coils. Even a cousin of the alligator isn't safe. A black caiman is about the largest thing an anaconda can swallow in a single gulp. Like all snakes, the anaconda has an extremely flexible jaw that can stretch to accommodate prey several times its size. Imagine if you could eat like an anaconda. All you'd need is one big meal that you'd swallow in a single bite. You'd slowly work it down to your stomach. And then it would be time for a nap while you digest your dinner. You'd need to find a place to rest, undisturbed, for 4 or 5 weeks. If you had table manners like a giant snake, you'd probably find yourself living alone. Which is exactly how the anaconda likes it. An animal this big needs lots of space to make sure there's always plenty of food around. But the question is, can the anaconda kill a human? The answer is almost certainly yes. Even the anaconda's smaller cousins have tried to squeeze the life out of us. Formidable predator, that it could easily crush the life out of a human. But it's not a convicted killer, which is why it's only number 10 in our countdown of the most dangerous snakes on the planet. Our next contender may be one of the smallest snakes in the countdown, but even so, it's thousands of times more deadly than an anaconda.
Number 9.
People across Africa and Asia are all too aware of our next contender. Usually, it spends its day buried in the sand with just its eyes showing. But when it's threatened, it gives intruders a warning to back off by rubbing its scales together. This noise is why the snake at number 9 in the countdown is called the saw-scaled viper. It's a tiny snake, growing little more than 2 feet long. But what the saw-scaled viper lacks in size, it makes up for in temper. It will strike at the slightest provocation. The saw-scaled viper kills more people in Africa than all other snakes combined. That's because most snakes only use venom 10% of the time. They conserve it for when it's really needed. Compare that to the saw-scaled viper, which injects its venom more than 80% of the time. But this nasty snake only makes it to number 9 in the countdown, because even without medical treatment, only 10% of people bitten by the saw-scaled viper will die. Its venom is not as potent as some of its more infamous cousins. Get bitten by some snakes, and you're far more likely to die, unless you take some very unusual precautions. Back in the 1940s, Miami snake handler Bill Haas wanted to demonstrate that it's possible to build up an immunity to snake venom. That's why he started injecting himself with small quantities of cobra venom each day. At first, it made him sick, but over time, Bill's body became used to the poison. It wasn't until 1956 that he was actually bitten by a cobra. Almost 50 years later, Bill's still going strong.
In my lifetime now, I've been bitten 163 times. And with the exception of about 6 bites, all were on the hands. And they're all sort of disfigured and very difficult to use, but I still go on with them. This one is just recovering from a snake bite, a large diamondback, just last Saturday, a few days ago. You see, I can't bend my wrist any more than that.
Luckily, if you're bitten by a saw-scaled viper, you have a 90% chance of survival. But because this aggressive snake lives in populated areas where people often walk around with bare feet, more than 2,000 people a year are killed by this tiny terror.
If you thought the first 2 contenders were dangerous, step back from the screen, because coming up is a snake that likes biting young American men. And later, what snake has been described as the atom bomb of the rodent world? Find out next on Animal Planet's Number 8.
Coming in at number 8 in the countdown is a snake that's twice as deadly as the saw-scaled viper, capable of killing 20% of the people it bites.
Rattlers, striking soon.
The rattlesnake is one of the heaviest of the venomous snakes, usually weighing about 15 pounds and growing 6 feet long. The heaviest on record weighed 34 pounds and was almost 8 feet long. Rattlesnakes are pit vipers, so called because they have a pit under each eye that carries a thermal imaging system. Rather than rely upon their eyes and very strong sense of smell, rattlesnakes hunt at night. using their thermal detectors. They can locate prey by its heat signature. Rattlesnakes can be found almost anywhere in North America and prefer to live on. Can't leave rattlesnakes alone. Although rattlesnakes are protected by law, hundreds, possibly thousands, are caught every year. But catching rattlesnakes is still the most surefire way to get bitten by one. Statistics show that your average rattlesnake victim is usually drunk, under the age of 30, and male.
Statistics.
Percent of rattlesnake bites occur on the hands or fingers suggests that rattlesnake victims were handling the snake when it bit them. At least the rattlesnake tries to warn people off. Not all snakes are so considerate. Our next contender uses its tail not as a warning, but as a deadly lure.
So far, we've seen rattlers shaking their tails and vipers rubbing their scales. But still to come is a snake that's revered as a living god. And later, what's the connection between deadly snakes and a horse called Silverado? Find out next on Animal Planet's The Most Extreme. Number 7.
Crawling in to number 7 in our countdown of deadly serpents is a snake that packs enough punch to kill 9 men with a single bite. Instead of hunting for a meal, the Australian death adder lets other animals hunt it.
Yeah,
or rather its tail. By wriggling its tail like a worm, the death adder can draw its victims in close until they're within strike range. And then it attacks with fangs that can grow to almost half an inch long. The death adder's hunting technique is one of the reasons it's so dangerous. Unlike most snakes, the death adder won't necessarily retreat from approaching humans. That's why it can be easily disturbed by the unwary. The snake will strike almost automatically at anything that gets within strike range.
Oh my God, you've been bitten.
The death adder injects venom in 60% of strikes, 6 times more than most snakes. Even with a correctly applied pressure bandage, the neurotoxins in the death adder's venom will still go to work attacking your nerves. If left untreated, the paralysis can spread and cause death from a complete respiratory shutdown in as little as 6 hours. So what do you do when you come face to face with a dangerous snake? In Sydney, Australia, it's such a common occurrence that homeowners now have experts they can call.
The expert is me.
Hello, Peter speaking.
Peter Buckley is the reptile coordinator for Sydney Wildlife Rescue, a company that specializes in removing dangerous animals from suburban homes. He can get as many as 50 calls a week asking him to capture deadly snakes. The secret to capturing a dangerous reptile is timing.
It's a snake. Don't go out and try and catch it. Don't kill it. 95% of snake bites are people actually trying to interact with the snake.
All the snakes that Peter catches get a second chance. He simply relocates them to a more suitable environment. After all, it's not the snake's fault, it's ours and our growing cities.
We're encroaching upon their territory. They don't sort of fit well with human population. People are scared of them, and quite literally the snakes are scared of people as well. The reason they'll bite you is because they feel threatened.
We feel threatened by the death adder because without quick medical treatment, we only have a 50% chance of surviving its bite. But if you're attacked by the next snake in the countdown, no amount of medicine can save you.
6.
It's easy to see how this snake fought its way into number 6 in the countdown. The reticulated python is found throughout most of Southeast Asia, from Vietnam to Indonesia. It's a killer famous for its size, strength, speed, and aggression. The jungles it lives in are so dense that it's rarely seen, and its camouflage is so good that only the sharpest eyes will be aware that it's come out to hunt. And if you're one of the animals it preys on, like these crested black macaques, then it pays to notice. The reticulated python is number 6 in the countdown because macaques are not the only primates it eats. This constrictor can catch and kill just about anything it wants, including human beings.
Finally, just well stayed eating.
The reticulated python is a legendary killer for 2 reasons. It's extremely aggressive, and it's the longest snake on Earth. The reticulated python can grow to more than 32 feet and weigh 300 pounds. And unlike the heavier anaconda, this snake is extremely agile and fast. When disturbed, it responds with a vicious combination of teeth and coil. Even though it's a very capable killer, the reticulated python only needs to eat a little more than its own weight in food every year. But that still equates to more than 150 baby macaques. While the macaques have a healthy respect for this massive snake, one Sumatran hill tribe has built a religion around a giant reticulated python. Several years ago, word leaked out that a remote Sumatran tribe known as the Kubu were worshipping a 49-foot-long reticulated python they'd named Fragrant Flowers. If the rumors were true, it was the longest snake ever seen by humans. A local zookeeper decided he wanted that snake. But things didn't quite add up, because when Fragrant Flowers was measured by news reporters, they found he was only 23 feet long. Fragrant Flowers was not even remotely close to being the world's longest snake. But who's fooling who? Some believe that since Fragrant Flowers is a spiritual ruler, he can change his size and shape. But it's more likely that the Kubu Hill tribe weren't about to hand over their spiritual ruler to a zookeeper. They negotiated for a year while they tracked down the longest python they could find.
Oh, yeah.
And somewhere up in the Sumatran hills, they're still worshiping their 49-foot reticulated python god. The reticulated python has killed humans, though adults may be too big to easily swallow. So while it's not really a man-eater, it's still a killer.
You'd have to be crazy to monkey around with our last 2 contenders. But still to come is a snake that can kill 50 men with a single bite. And later, what's the fastest thing on no legs? Find out next on Animal Planet's
Chapter, stopping at number 5. Alright. See you guys.